It is Monday, February 24th. It is 6:02 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the full City Council. We are live in council chambers. We are being recorded on Zoom and Holyoke Public Access. The meeting is being translated in Spanish as well. And we do not have our clerk here with us this evening, so I will call attendance. Councilor Anderson Burgos?
Here.
Councilor Bartley?
Here.
Councilor Devine?
Here.
Givner?
Here.
Graney?
Here.
Jordan?
Here.
McGrath Smith? Murphy Ramboletti? Here. Ocasio?
Here.
Israel Rivera? Jenny Rivera?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Bacon?
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do any business, we have folks on Zoom, so I would entertain a motion to take a roll call vote that for the purposes of this meeting would be applicable to all motions to receive, to refer items to committee, remove items from the table, place items on the table, package items together, comply with items, or suspend the rules unless there is an objection.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item number 1. The Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order from Sean Sheedy, Maintenance Administration for Holyoke Public Schools, February 4th, 2025, SOI ARP projects, recommended that the order be adopted. Councilor Devine?
So moved. We did have Sean into the Finance Committee meeting, and he gave a great presentation, and we were able to ask him questions, and he always gives a great presentation, so I'm very happy that he was there. And certainly, if anybody wants to speak to him or ask any questions, perhaps they'd like to make a motion that we do that. But it was a great meeting, and I do recommend that the order be adopted, as did the committee.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there any other comments or questions? Not seeing any on Zoom either. So the motion is that the order be adopted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilor.
I believe Sean is looking for a roll call vote on all of these items tonight, so he can give those to our state application, just a friendly reminder.
Sean, is that good for you? Yep. Okay, great. So I'll call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor. Councilor Anderson Burgos?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yep, there's more questions. I'm sorry. Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I did want to suspend the rules that allow Sean to address us. I do have a question for him.
Okay, so motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules and allow Sean Sheedy to, you can join us if you want. There's extra seats if you want to sit. I mean, totally up to you.
You can have my seat.
Thanks, Sean. And you know if the green button's on. Okay. Councilor Bartley.
And I do have a question, just through the chair to Sean. Sean, welcome. Sean, so one of the things I was going to mention was the roll call piece. Just explain why we need to do that for me, then I do have a follow-up question, maybe 2, but that's it. Why do we have to have a roll call? Just explain that.
Okay, so for agenda item number 1 is just the permission ask. It's a non-financial ask. And so it needs a certified vote from you folks saying that I'm allowed to continue on the process for the open enrollment of the 2025 Statement of Interest for the Accelerated Repair Program for the MSBA, in which agenda item number 1 is for 3 projects, which would be the HVAC conversion at Donahue School, the remaining windows and doors at Donahue School in the new wing, and the remaining windows and doors in the courtyard area of McMahon School. That's only for the permission ask. So I can go into the MSBA portal and fill everything out. And then it gets to a certain point where Superintendent Soto and Mayor Garcia have to sign off on it. And so with the certified vote, it allows me to go in there, enter everything in, and then at some point it'll get to them for their signature, my signature, and then we can be invited into the 2025 Statement of Interest, in which we won't know the outcome of that until the board meeting in October of 2025, whether we've been accepted or not into it.
Okay, so that helps. That helps me. And then just a follow-up to the chair. So what, I know we didn't do it last week when it was on the agenda,
Yep.
but we're meeting now in a special meeting. Now again, through the chair, why can't it wait till our first meeting in March?
Because the, for items number 2 through
6.
6 are due March 3rd for the certified vote by City Council. And I have to get all of that in, plus the remaining financials, which I just received from Rory, and get all that into the portal prior to the March 3rd. So if we were to have waited until the next meeting of March 4th and say the agenda items didn't get voted on, then we'd be beyond our deadline set by the MSBA.
Okay, so just again through the chair. So if we did meet March 4th when we vote, because I'm pretty confident we're going to support this. So we could have met March 4th, is what I'm hearing.
But we would be beyond the deadline.
Oh, okay. So if we didn't have a special meeting, then and what would have if we're beyond the deadline, what would have resulted in that? Could we have asked for an extension, or is that just a hard fast rule?
It is. So I asked them if I could possibly have an extension, but they followed up with a multitude of questions stating that if we say we were to give you the extension on the next meeting, can you guarantee us that your agenda items would be addressed? Would you have your certified vote? Would that vote be a passing vote? Would you be able to get all of that into the MSBA portal in time? And so there was just too many factors to risk it. So that's why I appreciate you guys, folks, having the special meeting for us to be able to meet that deadline. And it was a difficult ask too, to ask the MSBA for them to make a special exception for Holyoke, whereas this isn't a normal thing. It's basically meet all the deadlines. They give us a lot of time to meet it and stuff. And that's also, it's like, if they did it for us, they have to do it for everybody else.
Okay, so last one. So, Sir Chair, and this is hypothetical. Now we're going to take a vote in a second. But if we miss the deadlines, then and they don't allow an exception, what would the result be? Just hypothetically. In other words, we would have to wait till when?
I would have to reapply under this 2025 Statement of Interest again for where we've already gotten to this point with the MSBA. We've been accepted, and now we're into the financial portion of the schematic design of the 2024. So it would set us back another year.
Set us back a year.
And now the MSBA is only doing it every 2 years now. So they changed it. So remember, every year Whitney would come in and ask and do it. The MSBA is no longer doing that. It's every 2 years now. So this one, agenda item number 1, I'm asking for 2025. The very next time I'll be able to do another statement of interest is going to be 2027. So it's every 2 years now. Yep.
Okay, so that's just an important point. I just want, because I didn't understand that, and I just wanted to make sure and I appreciate you telling me. It sounds like, hypothetically, if we did meet March 4th, I mean, I'm not Nostradamus, but I'm saying it's probably likely we would have passed it then, and maybe we would, but you couldn't possibly take the risk, and that's understandable. And neither should you have to take the risk, and neither should the schools and the school department have to take that risk, because one just doesn't know, right?
Right. I would have needed a certified letter from you folks saying that you would adopt it on the next meeting, and I would have to submit that to the MSBA. They would have to get. It was just.
Yeah, there's no way we could give you a certified letter saying how we're going to vote.
Right.
There's no way you could get that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a big help. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and another big thing is no more boilers. So they've eliminated the boilers. You know, we've done the natural gas boilers. So Dean Tech was the last boiler we'll ever be able to do with them. They've eliminated that from the program. Now it's all a VRF conversion, basically heat pumps to a modern system, like whether you use ground source heat pumps like what the Soldiers Home did, like with wells, and you bring up the heat from the ground, or you do it within the mechanical equipment itself. So they've gone away from fossil fuels. They want us to eliminate fossil fuels.
Thank you for your patience. So is PEC going to be on that sort of a?
Yeah, so PEC, we were able to slide in under that. So PEC will have natural gas, and then we have propane to supplement at peak demand. So the propane will only supplement on those -2 February days where the entire city is drawing natural gas. The propane will then kick in to supplement for that, because we were capped at what PEC school had previously. And the new school is much larger, a lot more equipment. Yes, it is more efficient, but it will use more fossil fuels and electricity, but in a more efficient way. So like, you know, PEC was cold in one part, blazing hot in another part, and just, 1960 systems. So with the new system, it's a lot more efficient in modern technology in HVAC.
Good. Are there any other questions, comments?
Nope.
Not seeing any on Zoom either. So the motion was to adopt item 1. I will do roll call vote. If you vote yes, you are voting to adopt the order. Counselor Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Greenie,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti, yes. Ocasio,
Yes.
Izzy Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
With that, you've passed unanimously. Thank you.
Madam President,
Counselor Devine.
if I might, in the interest of time, if we could, I'd like to make a motion to take up items 2 through 6, if you wouldn't mind reading all those.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules to take items 2 through 6 as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm gonna read them into the record, so hold on one second. They're all the same language. What is different is the school and the amounts. So that's how I'll go through it rather than reading everything in its entirety. The item 2 is the Committee on Finance, to whom was referred an order that the city appropriate the amount of $100,000 for the purpose of paying costs of conducting a schematic design study at Kelly Elementary School. The proposed repair project has the city's applied for a grant from the MSBA. That is item 2. Item 3 is the same. It's that the city appropriate the amount of $100,000 for McMahon School to include which proposed repair project would extend the useful life of the school, and the city has applied for a grant from the MSBA. Item 4 is that the city of Holyoke appropriate the amount of $75,000 for Sullivan Elementary School. And item 5 is that the city appropriate $150,000 for the purpose of paying costs for a schematic design study at Holyoke High School. And item 6 is that the city of Holyoke appropriate $75,000 for the purpose of paying costs for a schematic design study at Donahue Elementary School. And I think, that was item 6. So,
Thank you, Madam President.
Okay.
If I could make a motion that we adopt the committee report and pass the second reading?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt the committee report, pass the second reading. Under discussion, Counselor Devine?
Thank you. We had both Seans in here at Finance Committee meeting, and I don't see the other Sean up there on Zoom, but this particular Sean, I'm sure, can answer any questions we might have. It was a good meeting, as usual, with Sean, and if there's anything that anybody would like to ask him, certainly ask him, but these are things, and if I recall, Sean, these are 80% reimbursement from the state?
Yes, correct. So this is just for the schematic design, and like we discussed in the meeting, the MSBA has done away with feasibility study. So they do not do feasibility any study. They felt there was a waste. We do a feasibility, we know we're going to automatically go into schematic design, so they've eliminated that. So now we just go into schematic design, and then that schematic design is actually part of the architectural and engineering drawings, and all the documents and everything. So cities and municipalities don't have to waste money on a feasibility, which is nice. And this is just obviously the initial stage. I base this on a percentage of the overall project for each one of these schools to replace the roof or a partial replacement. The biggest one we have is Holyoke High School. That's why that one's $150,000, and it's about 2.5% of the overall cost of the project itself. That's why we don't know how much the project will cost. We'll get that obviously through the schematic design, whereas in the past we would get all that detailed proposals and everything, and estimates from a feasibility. Now we just go right into schematic design and use that towards the project itself. So that's why you don't see the end cost per se yet, because we just don't know that yet, but I can only base on the percentage for the schematic to get us to the next step. And yes, everything, all of these will be 80% reimbursement from the MSBA.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. I have Counselor Bacon.
Thank you, Madam President. I had left the meeting, and before I was able to get back on Zoom at the last meeting, the meeting had been adjourned. So did the first reading of these items get passed at the last meeting?
The first readings of these items were done at the prior meeting, and so that tonight is the second reading. Counselor Jordan, you have your hand up?
Yeah, yes, my question is, again, we have not had a vote on first reading. Again, I will state again, section 22 of the charter requires 2 votes. A vote to pass the first reading and a motion to then pass the second reading. Again, this is non-controversial. I would encourage us to do that. I even recently sent a memo to the city clerk and the city auditor on this topic about section 22. It's not just that it appears on an agenda. It requires 2 votes. Pass the first reading, pass the second reading. We've never had a vote on first reading yet. Until first reading passes, can't have a vote on second reading, which the charter calls final passage. So I would encourage us to once again have a motion to pass the first reading and move forward, please.
Do you have, is that a question for me or the law department, or?
No question to the law department, ma'am. I would just say, please, if we could make a motion to pass the first reading.
Second.
Okay. So a motion was made and seconded to pass the first reading after a motion was made and seconded to pass the second reading. I didn't really recognize anyone to actually make a motion to pass the first reading. So I'm going to go ahead with Counselor Devine's order is on the floor, or motion is on the floor to pass the second reading. Is there any other discussion?
I'd like to make an amendment, please. I'd like to amend the motion to say pass the first reading.
Second.
Under discussion?
Madam President,
Counselor Bacon?
thank you. My concern is that if we don't pass both readings and the vote is found to be illegal, that we will endanger all the funding.
Counselor Rivera, and then Counselor Givner.
Can we suspend the rules and recognize Attorney Bissonnette and see how true it is, whether or not we'd be endangering the funding?
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules to allow Attorney Bissonnette to address this,
Endangerment of funding.
to address the statement that this is going to reject funding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll
Opposed?
call vote.
A roll call vote to allow the attorney to speak?
Yes.
Is there a second person who wants a roll call vote? Need to have two people.
Okay, I'll say second.
Great, let's do a roll call vote to allow the attorney to speak. Just want to repeat that. To allow the attorney to speak, we'll do a roll call vote. Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner? Yes. Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
No.
McGrath Smith, not here. Murphy Rombletti, yes. Ocasio?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Okay, so that was 12 to 1. I'm sorry, 11 to 1. There's only 12 of us here this evening. Attorney Bissonnette, can you please address this?
With respect to the question of a first reading, the city council voted to send an order to the finance committee. According to the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts, and Councilor Jordan, I commend your attention to that very opinion, and you may want to shepherdize that. See, make sure it's still good law, and it is. And that case basically says that the referral to a committee constitutes a first reading under state law and any city charters. I don't know if Kevin is going to be good enough to share with us any insights he gleaned from his meeting last Friday with the Department of Revenue. Maybe you could shed some light on this, but I think we've been over this ground plenty of times now. I'm sorry for members that may have been misled in the past as to what constitutes a first reading. I myself was unaware of this 1913 opinion, but I think in consultation with the chairman of Charter and Rules last week, there are going to be some, I think, changes to clarify that proposed for the city council rules. There's really no need for this. And as to whether or not it jeopardizes, no, that would not be the case. The MSBA has a long policy of recognizing city council votes as they are sent forward from the city clerk. So if anyone were to challenge that, I suspect it would be they who might be jeopardizing the city's chances for an 80% reimbursement of millions of dollars in needed maintenance and repairs on those buildings. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, the council.
Thank you. I have Counselor Bacon and then Counselor Bartley.
Madam President, these orders that were tabled in city council were never sent to committee. And they were partially read into the record on February 4th. And then the February 18th meeting was adjourned before they were taken up, as I understand it.
Counselor Bacon, thank you for your feedback. However, these were all discussed in committee. Sean was at the committee meeting. Counselor Devine was. Counselor Givner was. I'm assuming that Counselor Jordan was, but I actually watched the meeting after the fact. So all of these orders on this evening's agenda have been referred to committee.
So I was at that meeting, and when the committee discussed it, it was all one merged order. And then upon a legal opinion, it was recommended that they be refiled with the city council as separate orders, which is what came in on a later meeting. So there are 4 different orders.
That's not what happened.
That is what happened.
So this is not the, I don't know if you are just confused on what is being discussed this evening, but these items were not refiled. They were discussed in committee and were on the agenda for the last meeting, and they weren't discussed. They were on the agenda as committee reports.
Okay, I stand corrected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then I have Counselor Bartley and then Counselor Jordan.
Yeah, just through the chair to Mike. You're still there, Mike?
Absolutely.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Hello.
Just wondering, and this is a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyhow. Is there a negative to if we took a reconsider action and just put this to bed by the first reading tonight and a second reading? Is there a negative to that in any way, shape, or form?
Not that I can see.
And so I'm just wondering.
If you're violating a rule, err on the side of caution. So I would not have any problem, but I tell you from my experience, and this is I believe the fifth MSBA project I've been involved with, that they take it as gospel when it comes from the city clerk. But they do demand, and will in this case, a roll call for each of the 5 projects. One of the reasons is they're the MSBA, and they love paperwork. Second reason is we have 5 projects. If we only get 2 of them, we need to be able to show roll call votes for those 2 separately. So that's just a procedural reason, but these would be, by my account, by the account of the SJC, a second reading is fine. But that's entirely up to the council.
Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, so Mike,
Madam Chair,
Counselor Graney, I see you. You're in the queue, but Counselor Bartley has another question.
yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Howie. So, Mike, I'm more interested in your opinion on the SJC case, which I've only read. I haven't had a chance to give you feedback or ask you follow-up questions to that. So I think your opinion's valued, but since that's a rather new case that was presented to us just prior to the last week's meeting, I haven't had a chance to give feedback, and I haven't had a chance to ask my questions, and I'm not prepared to do it now, and I don't want to belabor it anymore. So my only point, Mike, in asking the prior question, the silly one, is to say, because this is new to us, this 1916 case, which if you said is precedent binding, then that's great for now. But I still nevertheless would like us to follow up with it in some kind of a meeting. And so I'd rather just have us, there's a motion on the floor to amend, and that motion would take precedent at this point. But I would rather just do it that way, Mike. And since your words to me and the board is that there's no detriment to this vote, then I'm gonna let that sink in for everybody. But it means a lot to me, Mike. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Counselor Jordan, then Counselor Graney, then Counselor Rivera.
Yes, Madam President, the first thing I would add on just the rule component of this is, if we're going to make a change of this nature, there should be an order filed. We should have a meeting at Charter and Rules. We should have Mr. Bissonette in. We can talk about this case. We can talk about what this city's been doing for the last 100 years. Always the same, 15 times a meeting for 100 years, always doing the same thing. All the law departments from 1916, when this case came out, till today, relative to our charter, okay? It's always done. We've had a lot of smart people in the law department over many, many years, and I think we need to have, as a group, a conversation first and think this through together, as opposed to no written opinion. We're handed a case which actually hasn't even been officially received by the board yet, because that item ended up never coming up due to the meeting. And let's have a conversation and a discussion. But I'll just say, in my opinion, this council should keep doing what it's been doing since time immemorial until we collectively agree it's in the best interest of the city council and the city to do something other than that. I think justice calls for that, okay? And I think prudence calls for that. So I would encourage the board, until we collectively together make a change to do something different, we should please continue our current practice. It would make certainly this counselor feel wildly more comfortable. Again, these are items that are probably going to all be unanimously approved anyways, and I would appreciate that, if nothing else, as a professional courtesy. And I'm happy to also at that time talk about the Friday meeting with the DOR, and interdepartmental transfers. Of course, items 2 through 6 are not interdepartmental transfers, so not really relevant in this discussion, but I'm happy to talk about what they told me then. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Greeny.
Yeah, Madam President, I'm going to cut to the chase here. If we pass the first reading tonight, pass the second reading, and have a roll call on all of these 5 issues tonight, would these orders go forward? Without harm, without delay, we've debated enough on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Israel Rivera?
Yes, thank you. With hearing the part about the first and the second reading, on the contrary, though, I don't think any damage would be done if we started on the second reading, right? But here, it's sounding like particular individuals just want that piece to be done, which either or both would accomplish the same goal. But here, it feels like because particular individuals want it a certain way, there's a little bit of conflict here because both ways reach the same goal. Right. If the goal is to make sure that the schools get the schematic design or the money for the schematic design, both approaches reach the same goal, just to be clear, right? But the argument now is a part of a procedure that might not be clear to some counselors and clear to others, or a part of ruling or understanding of language with a new case. And maybe some people not accepting it. So for the sake of the people that are not accepting it and making sure that the schools continue to move forward with it, I'd be okay with the first and second reading. But understand that even if we did the second reading from the beginning, it would still accomplish the same goal. So for now, I'm okay with whichever approach we take, but understand that it's not about anyone trying to block any of this, right? We're trying to move forward with procedure, and if the understanding that taking a second reading straight off here, because we already had a first reading prior and it's been clearly explained to us from the city solicitor's office, whether one individual or 2 individual counselors doesn't accept it, that's okay. This is democracy, right? We can vote for it, and whether it passes, or if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I just wanted to make it clear that it's not fair to technically halt process because you don't necessarily agree with something. But for me, whether we do the first and second or the second, I'm going to be voting for this project here. I just wanted to make that clear. And thank you, City Solicitor. Bissonnette. So I lost your name right now because there's been a lot of hoopla over the last few weeks that's unnecessary and really unnecessary for the city, to be honest. But thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Bissonnette, I noticed your hand up. Do you want to, I have a couple more counselors, but do you want to go first?
Just quickly, thank you, Madam President. Just to make sure everyone understands, the Supreme Judicial Court issues rulings and opinions. The ruling that was provided to you is their opinion in a case involving the Lowell City Charter. It is not an opinion that the city gets to accept. It is the law of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Right. So we don't get to decide whether it's good law or bad law. If you want to challenge it, sue somebody. But as far as I'm concerned, That's the law of the land until otherwise stated by the SJC. And I know it's a sea change, I recognize that. And that's why if it makes folks feel better, they can do both tonight. As long as a vote gets to the MSBA, that's really all the city needs to move forward on these projects.
Thank you. Counselor Gibner and then Counselor Devine.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess I would echo a bit of what Councilor Rivera just said. I think it's pretty clear from Attorney Bissonnette that we can do either. I think it sounds like this is just a new understanding of something that we may have actually not been doing entirely right, or we maybe have been taking steps we haven't needed to for the past 100 years. So I really like that this has been clarified. And, you know, I'm fine going either way. It's more important to get this passed than to argue about whether or not the first reading was when we first sent it to committee or now. Thanks.
Counselor Devine.
Yeah, there's a reason why I made a motion to pass the second reading. If you look at items 2 through 6, it's each beginning of the sentence says, the Committee on Finance to whom was referred an order. How can an order be referred to Finance if it didn't have a reading by the President of the City Council? So it should be in second reading, and we should vote on that and get this passed tonight.
Anyone else? Counselor Jordan.
Yes.
For a third time, if everyone's okay with that.
No. Counselor's talking for the
Well,
third time.
yeah, so
Make a
hold
motion.
on. I got all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, what's the,
Okay, then go ahead.
He
Counselor Jordan.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. The
trying to
point
follow
to
the rules.
answer Counselor Devine's question is, there's the long-held view here of the Hoyoke City Council has been, it's not just readings, there's an actual vote that needs to take place. It's not that we just refer something to committee. The long-held view of the Hoyoke City Council has been that there's a vote on first reading, which to date has not yet taken place. And now this second vote on second reading. So that's the issue. It's two votes, not just that it appear on an agenda be referred. So that's the issue. I would ask that we continue our current practice until let's continue to go, we can go through this new information. Like I do with all things, I'm willing to listen and to have a meeting. This is an important issue, and I'm happy to, let's have a charter and rules and a discussion, but if we're going to make major changes, let's talk about the application of this case. What was the fact pattern in that case? Did they make an opinion of broad across all cities, interpreting all charters? Was the wording of the Lowell Charter the same as the Holyoke Charter? Would they have ruled in a different way if it was there's a lot of nuance that goes into case law on all of these different points. We need to do the due diligence before we make as it's correctly pointed out, a sea change. So that's all I'm asking. I think prudence says we continue to do it the way we've always done it. And I thank you for your indulgence on my amendment. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Counselor Jenny Rivera for the first time.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Attorney Bissonnette for being here, and I feel your opinion counts a lot. And if you're giving us, we're allowing you, we had to allow for you to even speak as our attorney. You're here doing your job. And if you're giving us the go-ahead to do this, I don't understand why we're still going on this since last week, Tuesday. We're here, we should just vote on it. It's a very important orders that are on here. Our children need the schools, so let's just continue. Can we just vote on it? Whether it's the votes, that's why we have an attorney. And we should allow them and take their opinions. I don't care what happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Israel Rivera.
I just wanted to clarify one point with regards to tabling. When we refer something, we have to vote to refer it. So it's still a vote. Just wanted to clarify that.
Is that to the law department or just in general?
Just in general, to the public, actually, because I don't want the public to be misguided or misled. The reality is, when we refer items to committee, we take a vote to refer items to committee. We don't just refer them, we take a vote in that process. So just to be clear and not mislead the people or the public, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Jordan has his hand up to speak for the fourth time.
No.
No.
Guys, hold on. I didn't even ask you to vote yet. Calm down. If I have to stay calm and can't have a meltdown, neither can you guys, okay? Thank you so much. Counselor Jordan has his hand up to speak for the fourth time.
Madam President, it's actually
Make a
point
motion
of
that-
order.
Oh, what is the point of order, Counselor Jordan?
Yeah, it's just that when people are saying potentially that I'm misleading the public, my point is,
Please. Counselor Anderson Burgos. Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes.
So the point, I'm not trying to mislead the public. What I am saying is it's not a vote to send something to committee or a vote to refer something. What I was claiming was that the vote is to pass the first reading. That's the vote that's required. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I don't know if that was really a point of order for me, but all right. So here's how it's going to go tonight, everyone, because quite frankly, I don't want to be here tonight, honestly. And if everyone is going to sleep a little better because we took the first reading and the second reading tonight, we'll do that, okay? But going forward, at our next full council meeting, make peace with it now. Read the case law. Do what you need to do. I am the president, and I'm going to rule the way that I see fit at our next meeting. And if that's not okay with you, you can take the action that you need to take. Tonight, we'll do the first reading and the second reading. I'll give you the weekend or so to process all of the feelings that may come with this. I get it. Change is hard. Sometimes the law changes. Sometimes the law department tells me this is what you should do, and I'll listen. And I'm going to speak here very calmly to everyone. We're all just going to vote. And then we have one more thing. We will adjourn, and that's going to be it. Are we good? Okay. So there was a motion, an amended motion, to pass the first reading. On the motion, I will be doing a roll call vote separately for each item. The first one is item 2. It is $100,000 for Kelly Elementary School. Motion to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to pass the second reading. Is
Aye.
Yep, thank you.
Aye.
Roll call.
No, it's a roll call vote, so thanks, everyone. Counselor Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Counselor Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti, yes. Ocasio?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Unanimous vote. Great. Item 2 is... Oh, item 3. Item 3 is $100,000 for McMahon School. Is there a motion to pass the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to pass the second reading?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
I'll call the roll now. If you vote yes, you vote in favor of item number 3. Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Graney? Jordan?
Yes.
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti, yes. Ocasio? Rivera?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
With that, you've passed it. Item number 4. It's for $100,000 for McMahon. Nope, I lied.
Sullivan.
Can't trust me. $75,000 for Sullivan Elementary School.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion to pass the second reading.
Second.
I'll call the roll. Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Givner. Graney. Jordan.
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti, yes. Ocasio.
Yes.
Rivera.
See,
Rivera.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
With that, you've passed it. Item number 5 is $150,000 for Holyoke High School. Is there a motion to pass the first reading?
first reading.
second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to pass the second reading?
Second.
Second.
Motion to pass the second reading. I will call the roll. Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Givner.
Yes.
Graney.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti, yes. Ocasio.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
With that, you've passed it. Item 6 is for $75,000 for Donahue Elementary School. Is there a motion to pass the first
Motion to
reading?
pass the first reading.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion to pass the
Second.
second reading. I'll call the roll. Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Givner.
Yes.
Graney.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti. Ocasio. Rivera.
Yes.
I was a yes, by the way.
Yeah.
Rivera.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
With that, you've passed it. Item number 7.
Make a motion that, oh, sorry.
That's okay. Item 7 is the Committee on Finance, to whom is referred an order that there be a transfer of $33,000 as follows. It is from Senior Civil Engineer, Hoisting Equipment Operator, and Professional Engineering Services. Recommended that the order be adopted. Counselor Devine.
Yes, thank you. The Finance Committee voted to take this out of finance, providing we get a end of the term of the professional engineering services. And at our last meeting of the City Council, I put on the desks of everybody the city engineer's report. And if you can see it right now, can't give you an end date, because if you look at this, it's probably 6 pages long on all the things that have to be done. And we just hired a civil engineer, was only interviewed January 12th. So I would say let's pass this, and we can certainly at another time, if people want to file orders to have the new city engineer come in and go through these with us, I think that would be okay. But right now, I see no reason why we can't pass this tonight.
Is there a motion to pass the
Motion. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass the first reading. Is there any other discussion?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Wait, no, I
I'm
didn't.
sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay.
Motion to
Motion
pass
to
the
pass the
second
second
reading.
reading?
Motion to pass the second reading. I'll call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting to approve the transfer. Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Givner.
Yes.
Graney.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti, yes. Ocasio.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
With that, you've unanimously passed it.
Thank you, Madam
Motion to
Chair.
adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Bye.